I have to walk 21 hours in total, over 17 km in distance, and 4,095.2 meters up sea level. Ouch! My thighs are still so sore from climbing Mount Kinabalu. I survived Mount Kinabalu! I learned so many life lessons on how to achieve your goals if you're climbing a metaphorical mountain in your life. And I think we climb so many metaphorical mountains. So if you are actually climbing the mountain, Mount Kinabalu, or if you have some metaphorical mountain that you're climbing in life, whether it's a career goal or a relationship goal, a health or fitness goal, or a business goal, this video is going to share some powerful life principles and lessons on how you can achieve that goal and enjoy the journey along the way. For the past 2 days, I have to walk 21 hours in total, over 17 km in distance, and 4,095.2 meters up sea level. And I essentially climbed the highest mountain in Malaysia, Mount Kinabalu. I want to make this video to show you guys a realistic view of what to expect when climbing Mount Kinabalu, especially if you're not a fit person. If you're working towards certain goals in life, if you're climbing a metaphorical mountain in life, and you want to achieve those goals and still enjoy your journey along the way without burnout, I'm going to be sharing some life lessons I learned throughout the climb and how to apply in work, business, and life. So stay tuned. Or if you're just curious about how climbing the highest peak in Malaysia and Borneo is, because you don't actually want to climb the mountain and you still want to experience it through my eyes, continue watching this video because I'll be sharing clips as well as my experience and my journey. I am someone that don't regularly exercise. Before climbing Mount Kinabalu, I just returned from a 2-month travel in US and it was winter there. So I didn't really go out to the gym that much. I ran a few times maybe. How I prepared for Mount Kinabalu was essentially signing a 2-week trial package at F45, and I did HIIT and strength training at least 5 times a week for 2 weeks before scaling the mountain, as well as some walking on the incline machine in the gym near my house. I'm going to be sharing with you what we experienced along the way. I opted for the 3-day and 2 nights package because the 2 days, 1 night was not available, and we opted for an agency called Borneo Calling, which I think is really good. They did very good planning. So for the day 1, there wasn't any climbing. So I would honestly call the day 1 of the 3-day, 2-night day -1 because we did no climbing. We got picked up from our hotel at about 8 a.m. We basically just sightsee. Then you can see over here that there's a map. This is what happens on the real day 1 and day 2, which is the actual climbing of the mountain. So on day 1, we started at Tim Pohon Gate, and we need to actually go from Tim Pohon Gate to Laban Rata Resthouse, which is our sleeping place for day 1. And this is 6 km away. For day 2, we are climbing from the Laban Rata Resthouse to the summit starting from 2:30 a.m. We have to climb 1.5 km to the checkpoint, which is Sayat, and we need to reach by 4:30 a.m. or they'll close the gate and you're not allowed to go higher. And then from Sayat itself, we have another 1.22 km to the peak, which is essentially the summit. Hopefully, we arrive just before sunset, so we get to see sunset at the peak. So we started off day -1, and we got picked up from our hotel, which is D Jumbo Hotel. D Jumbo Hotel is very affordable, very clean, very comfy, and it's also very close to the airport. As part of the package, we get free transport to and fro our hotel. So if you get a hotel near the airport, you're paying a lower cab fare to get from the airport to the hotel. So day -1, we honestly did random stuff. We hopped onto the car and it's a 2 hours ride to the place that we're sleeping at. We visited a dairy farm, took some really nice shots of Mount Kinabalu from the distance. We ate very fresh yogurt, and we saw some cows. So that's basically day -1. Let's go into real day 1. This is where the climb happens. And if you opted for the 2-day, 1-night package, then this is where your day starts. You get picked up from the hotel and you go straight to the real day 1. We woke up at 6 a.m. because breakfast starts at 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. and we needed to get picked up by our room by 7:30 a.m. for the briefing as well as starting the climb. So this is where lesson 1 comes in. It's very important to know your body and your rhythm. The reason why I woke up at 6 a.m., which is early, so that we can have breakfast early at 6:30 a.m. is because I know that I need to poop in the morning. I feel so embarrassed saying this, but it's true. I cannot start my hike without going to the toilet and releasing all my poop, because if I don't poop somewhere on the mountain, I'm going to have to poop and it's going to be really, really uncomfortable. So you need to know your body, you need to know your rhythm. For me, I know that once I have coffee, within 30 minutes, I'll poop in the morning, and that's my morning poop for the day. That is why I woke up early at 6 a.m. We packed our bags the night before and we went straight to the restaurant at 6:15 a.m. or so after getting ready. Had a relatively heavy breakfast so that we have enough energy for the climb. It is so important for you to know your body and your rhythm, especially in life. There are many gurus that would say join the 5 a.m. club, wake up early so that you can have an extra 2 hours in your morning. But it really depends what is your style. For me, I know that I work best at night, so I usually sleep at about 2 a.m. and from 12 to 2 a.m. during quiet time, like when the world's asleep, that is where I'm ultra focused and I'm able to do work really, really, really well. So it's important to know what works for you and listen to your body, because when you build a relationship with your body, you'll be able to go the distance throughout any goal that you want to achieve in life, whether it's in business or in your career or your health and fitness journey. So after having breakfast, we went back to our room to take our bags and we hopped onto the vehicle that brings us to the HQ. The first 1 km was pretty okay. It was honestly like a walk in the park. And when the 2 km and 3 km mark hit, that's when it starts getting a bit more strenuous. I think 2 and 3 km is when your body realizes, wait, I think we're exercising way more than we usually do, or at least way more than I usually do. And you start feeling that you start feeling the losing of breath and you start feeling the strain in your thighs, your calves, and your ankles. Random thing, there are these porters that are carrying like huge bags, include your toilet paper, your eggs, your noodles. They carry up to like 30-40 kg worth of load. So after about 4 or 3 km, we reached our lunch spot and I had a really yummy energy bar with espresso chocolate on top. Highly recommend you to bring energy bars as well. After we finished our lunch, we continued climbing, and this is where it started drizzling a little bit, and it was so tiring. It's like I was feeling like way out of what I was mentally prepared for, to be honest, and I was feeling so tired, so sore. I really don't know if I could do it anymore, but you know, we needed to keep going because when you sign up to climb a mountain, you don't stop. The thing that makes it hard is the terrain is very, very rocky, steep slopes that could be up to like 70 degrees. Honestly, it makes me feel like I'm a bit like a ninja, so I think that romanticizing it is helpful, like thinking that you're a ninja. I think that was what really kept me sane throughout the entire climb. Lesson number 2 is this: visualize your goal. Know what motivates you and hold on to it. Know what makes you energized and happy throughout your journey in achieving your goal. Remind yourself to visualize that goal consistently so that you don't lose hope. So as I was climbing this mountain, Mount Kinabalu, the goal that I had in my mind was honestly really simple but also pretty shallow. I can't wait to take nice photos and nice videos to make a YouTube video or to make a reel. I researched reels of people climbing Mount Kinabalu. So in times that I was so tired, I just keep thinking, remember that reel, remember that reel. Everybody has a different motivating factor and you need to find yours. When you keep that motivating factor in mind, when you visualize that goal and replay it in your head over and over again, you will feel that surge in energy to keep on going. And that is what I do in life as well. Times where I get very, very low income months where I barely make 4 figures. I feel so worthless sometimes when I accidentally use these metrics to determine my self-worth. In those moments of failure and of rejection, remember why you started. Ask yourself, how will that career that I enjoy look like? How will the final masterpiece of my business look like? Play it over and over again in your head. And so even at times when you get rejected or you meet failure, you can remind yourself of that goal, which will re-energize you to keep on going. We finally reached I would say our first reward of the day. It was this beautiful view of the mountains, the mist, the trees. It was just so gorgeous and we took such nice videos, and I think that really re-energized me to keep on going. So remember to visualize the goal, know what motivates you, and hold on to it. The last 2 km of day 1 was much easier than the first 4 km in my opinion. For the first 4 km, your body is kind of readjusting to this new comfort zone. You started from not exercising, not walking that much or that long of a distance to walking for 4 hours straight. So your body is already pained but also numb, and it creates this numbness that allows you to walk easier, and your mind is already kind of like set on going forward and forward and forward. So you're not resisting the movement, you are just telling yourself that I have to move and I have no choice but to move ahead. In a sense, I was already resigned to my fate that I had to walk and continue climbing, and with this resignation, it made it easier. The last 2 km was also much more beautiful, the scenery, because there were beautiful trees. There was this whole Japanese garden vibe. We also met a lovely elderly couple who was scaling the mountain, and that was really inspirational. The guy is 70 years old and the lady is 69 years old. They told us that this is like their last chance because they're kind of getting older, and if they don't manage to reach the peak, they probably won't come back again. So it was really inspirational to see them, slowly moving on. And the lady actually told me that someone shared with her this advice. Instead of taking many breaks along the way, like sitting down, literally sitting down for minutes, take it at your own pace and don't stop walking. Then you can create that ongoing momentum instead of like stopping. But I think it's important to know what works for you. So for me, I did rest along the way. I think what made it really enjoyable for the last 2 km was the beautiful scenery we saw as well as the elderly couple. That's why I come to lesson number 3. Find excitement in the little things along the way. The little things along the way are going to make your day, okay? Don't just be so narrow-minded on your goal and block out everything along the way. Don't just look down on the steps that you're walking on and not look up to see the scenery around you, because then you're just going to enjoy the final destination and hate the entire journey along the way. So just as I am climbing Mount Kinabalu and I'm looking around, taking nice photos of the trees, realizing, these are flowers I've never seen before, stopping for a while to talk to this elderly couple, you too in your life can ask yourself, how can you schedule in time for fun and play? How can you schedule in time to go to a nice bar, or to meet other people in your industry and have a good conversation with them, or to celebrate your wins along the way, and not just be so narrow-minded and zeroed in only on your goal and ignoring everything that's happening along the way. So lesson number 3 is to find excitement in the little things along the way. Finally, after 6 hours, I think it was 6 hours, it might have been longer. Let me see. I think it was about 7 hours. After 7 whole hours of walking, we finally reached the Resthouse, which is Panalaban. And this is 3,272.7 meters above sea level. And we also saw the elderly couple reaching there just a couple of minutes after we reached there. So I went up to them and I was really excited. I congratulated them and actually asked them what are some advice that they have to young people. And this is what they said.
You have a goal.
Have a goal?
Yes. You have to be financial secure.
Okay,
that's a good point.
It's a very good point.
Okay.
Whatever you do in your life, regardless of what it is, you always look after number 1. Your happiness is your responsibility. Nobody else. If you're not happy, get out of the situation. Don't care whether it's husband, wife, or child, you just get out.
So I think those are really good advice. That's why I wanted to add that in. And we rested in the rest house. We had our dinner. And at 6 p.m., we actually saw this beautiful sunset. So I would suggest if you are there and you're resting in the place, definitely sleep early. But don't forget to maybe stay up a little bit more, because at 6 p.m. there is a gorgeous sunset that you want to see. We slept early at around 7 p.m., 8 p.m. or so latest, because we needed to wake up at 1 a.m. for day 2. But I woke up at 1 a.m. At 1:30 a.m. we went to have breakfast, and at 2:20 a.m. we gathered and met our guide to bring us up the mountain. I did forget to mention that along the way, of course, we have our mountain guide, and he is really, really helpful, teaches us which steps to step on so that we don't slip and fall. I'm just glad that the mountain guide we got was also really patient and really encouraging. So we woke up, we had breakfast, we started scaling the rest of the mountain to reach the peak at about 2:20 a.m. What we were met with was a black hole of never-ending steps. Imagine it is pitch black. We have our torchlights attached. Well, not really, a headlight attached to our head. For the next 2 hours, it was just step after step after step after step after step. It was so tiring and it was cold and tiring. It can be pressurizing at times to want to rush because someone is behind you. But this is where lesson 4 comes in. It's very important to focus on your journey. Set your own pace. Don't worry about people walking faster because you're not in a competition with anyone. You don't have to be the same pace as the person behind you. If they want to go ahead of you, let them go ahead. It is important to set your own pace, not just in climbing a mountain, but in life. There's so many times where I am working on a project, like creating my training portal or setting up my YouTube channel or setting up my podcast. And I look at other entrepreneurs on social media and I look at them and think, wow, why are they doing something that I'm not doing? Why are they, growing their business seemingly faster than I am? I need to do the same way. But the truth is that everybody, we have our own timeline. You're not meant to follow anybody's timeline. You're meant to create your own timeline at your own pace. Don't worry about anybody walking faster. You're not in a competition with anyone. Focus on your own journey. That is lesson 4. So we are just walking this never-ending black hole of steps, and we reach a very steep slope. We had to hold on to the rope like a ninja or like Tom Cruise, walk up this steep slope, which is I think 70 degrees elevation or so, in pitch black. It was honestly quite scary, but since everybody was doing it together, I was like, okay, let me do it. I started climbing, and at the top of the slope, my feet slipped, and I was literally hanging on to the rope for my dear life. I was like struggling to find my footing and I was like swinging left and right. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. Thank God I trained my arms and I was able to hold on to the rope and hold on to my weight. And I'm so grateful for the people below me who helped me find my footing. This is where I come to lesson number 5, trusting the people that you're journeying with. Throughout your career and throughout your life, there will be people that you journey with along the way. They are your peers, they're your mentors. They are people who are on the same boat as you. Find a group of people whom you trust. They are going to have your backs when you slip and fall. I'm so grateful for the people who caught me. I'm so grateful for the mountain guide Jimmy who along the way literally held my hand and pulled me up the mountain when I was like huffing and puffing and huffing and puffing. The final leg of the mountain was extremely tough. Imagine just going up a slope that seems never ending. You look at your watch and you're like, oh my gosh, how long is it? You just keep walking and walking and walking. And it can feel very hopeless at times. It can feel like you're going nowhere at times. But it is the people that you're journeying with that would hold your hand and pull you along, encourage you along the way, and make you feel like you're not alone. And sometimes that's all we need to know. Now, we are continue walking and walking, and there was just an ongoing upward slope, and people around us started slowly dispersing. Even though we all started at the same time, some people are faster, some people are slower. When this happens, we come to lesson number 6. Don't think about how long you have left. Simply focus on your next step. Sometimes in life, it can feel like it's a never-ending journey, especially when you're building a business, which is a huge thing, or you're building a career, which is an ongoing thing until you decide to retire. Don't think about how long you have left till you achieve that goal. Instead, ask yourself, what is the next step? You can't visualize 50 steps forward. You don't know what is step number 37. What you know is what step 1, 2, and 3. And after you're done with 1, 2, and 3, what will then be revealed to you is steps 4, 5, and 6. Instead of stressing over all the steps towards getting towards your goal, the 50 steps that you need to take, simply focus on the next step that you have to take. Because otherwise, you'll feel so overwhelmed. You'll feel like you don't even want to start anymore. And this is why so many people don't even start. Sometimes thinking about the sheer amount of work that needs to be done can feel really overwhelming. So remember to not think about how long you have left. You can visualize the goal, but don't think about how long you have left. Simply focus on your next step. So as we walk step by step and focusing on my next step, we finally saw, oh my gosh, at least for me, one of the most beautiful sunrises that I've ever seen in my life. We are not at the peak yet. We still have 200 meters left to go. I took a look at the summit and there were already people there, but the spot we're at, it was a beautiful view of the sunrise, and so we took really nice photos and we could see the crescent moon as well. Along the way, we also looked up and saw many stars. Take a look up and see the stars, especially when you're in pain, to just remind you that there's so much beauty around you. Lesson number 7 is to seize the moment. Along your way as an entrepreneur, there will be these little beauties of life that are just given to you. Don't just keep walking ahead. Take some time to savor the moment, seize it and savor it and enjoy it before moving on. Achieving your goals are not going to make you happy. The little decisions that you make along the way to be happy is what's going to make you happy. You get this sense of fulfillment and happiness not because you reached it, but because you took the steps and you scaled the mountain in order to get there. Finally, we pushed through and we reached the peak. And this is where lesson 8 comes in, to celebrate your win and take it all in. We spent like 45 minutes at the peak taking all the photos and the videos that I've been dreaming about as I'm climbing from day number 1. And it was just gorgeous to be on top of the world, above the clouds. And we just appreciated each other, said they were proud of each other, and took a bunch of nice photos and videos. Finally, we're done with the climb, but not really. We still have to go back down. At least for me, my legs were so tired at this point in time that I couldn't bother to abseil down by holding the rope. I basically just started sliding down because you also need to reach the rest house by the midpoint by 10:30 a.m. latest to check your bags out of the room. Otherwise, they'll charge you 100 ringgit per hour of overtime. Once we had our breakfast at the rest house, it was time for the next leg of our descent, and that is another 6 kilometers down to the starting point that we started at, which is Tipahon Gate. And we kept the pace until it started to be really painful. When you're holding 8 kg worth of luggage, it creates this impact on your knees as well as your calves and your thighs. There was a point in time where I could feel my legs literally starting to shake. I actually feel my knees were almost going to bend the other way, which was kind of scary. So at this point in time, it's so important to use your stick, distributing the weight amongst your legs and your arms. Otherwise, it's going to be very tiring. Going down seemed way longer than going up. With the silence of the forest, it almost felt like I could hear my own breathlessness as I was going down. And it reached a certain point in time where you just gotta keep on walking no matter what. And you tell yourself that your body has already become so numb. You start getting comfortable with the pain, and this pain becomes your new normal. In any stage of your journey that you are now, whether you're in a high or low in your life, just keep walking no matter how painful it is. Just keep going, because you are going to emerge from this victorious and a much, much better person. You're going to be so proud of yourself. And we reached the final lap. We went up the stairs. This was such a huge relief, honestly, because I couldn't believe that I made it. But essentially, we're walking from 2:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., which is insane. It's like walking rocky terrain that's muddy and you could possibly slip for a full workday. No, more than a full workday. And it was exhausting, but we finally made it. We hopped onto a car that was supposed to bring us back to our hotel, but we actually opted to go straight to a massage place that I found on Google. I highly recommend this massage place. It's called Eden Reflexology Center because it is one of the cheapest massages as well as the best that I've had personally. It was 90 ringgit for a 1 hour full body massage and a 30 minutes foot massage. The ladies that were massaging us, they were so small size, but they're so strong. They rubbed into us like nobody's business. They knew which pressure points to press, and it was the most amazing experience. After the 1.5 hours total of massage, we then went back to a hotel, which is the Jumbo Hotel once again, had a really good sleep, and the next morning we hopped onto our flight at 9 a.m. And that is how my experience of Mount Kinabalu was. It's something that I don't regret doing because I tested my own limits. I didn't know that I could climb this mountain, but I did it. And I'm so proud of myself. And I feel like if I can do this, I can do anything. And I would say that the top 3 lessons that I learned is, number 1, the people that you climb with can make or break the experience. Choose the people you surround yourself with, not just in the literal climbing of a mountain, but in life. The people that you surround yourself with can make or break your career, your business, and your happiness. So make sure that you're climbing with people and you're journeying with people that support you, that love you, and that you support and that you love and enjoy being around. Number 2 is to visualize the goal, plus enjoy or romanticize the journey. I took photos of like flowers, I made funny videos of myself. If you think about it, building a business, building a career, sometimes it can feel a little bit mundane because you're doing certain things over and over and over again. And you need to find ways to create joy within the mundanity of life. And lesson number 3 is you can't see 50 steps ahead, so simply focus on the next step. Similarly in life, if you think about all the 50 steps and feel the need to plan it, you will never start. So instead of thinking about all the 50 steps, ask yourself, what are the steps I already know? Take that next step and connect with people that you vibe with to share with you what may the next steps be. Trust that the universe will reveal the steps for you along the way when the time is right. Just take the first step. I want to share some life-saving tips for the hike. Number 1, please buy hiking sticks. It supports your weight going up and going down. Number 2, bring proper gloves. You can wear the gloves while pulling yourself up the mountain, as well as just in case your hands get cold. Number 3, buy a hiking bag with waist support. I wanted to buy a cheap bag, but thank God I didn't. What it does is that it distributes some of the weight of the bag to your waist so that it's not all pulling on your shoulders. So it's so important to buy a hiking bag with waist support. Number 4, be very choosy with what you put in your bag. You're going to be carrying all this weight up the mountain, so make sure that you be very, very choosy what you put in your bag because they all add up. Don't just bring stuff for fun. Number 5, bring salon pass. This relieves the ache. It really, really helps when you feel extremely sore. Number 6, bring a knee or an ankle guard. I wish I did this, which I didn't. Number 7, wear proper waterproof shoes because it gets slippery and rainy. Number 9, bring a poncho because it'll probably rain. Number 10, bring energy bars because you're gonna need the energy and you're gonna want to snack along the way. Number 11, bring water, plenty of water. Water is going to taste sweeter as you go up. And number 12, bring your AirPods if you want. Because for me, putting my AirPods on and focusing on the podcast that I was listening to or the music that I was listening to was really helpful when the steps seemed never ending. And what I wish I knew was this one thing. I wish that I knew that it wasn't going to be that cold so that I wouldn't bring a huge ass winter jacket and put it in my bag and ended up carrying the weight of the winter jacket up and down the mountain. I think it's important to know how you deal with cold. If you've been to a cold country before, then you can kind of like figure it out. It is less cold than winter. When you are walking and exercising and, hiking up and down the mountain, you will sweat. So because you will sweat, it kind of cancels out the cold. So for me, I would have just brought a windbreaker. What I'll recommend is to bring a windbreaker and bring extra layers of heat tech. Heat tech is essentially special clothing that keeps you warm. So heat tech is also thinner and lighter, and if you bring extra layers of heat tech, that will take up less space in your bag. But of course, if you're someone that gets cold very, 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 very easily, then maybe you want to bring a winter jacket. I live in Singapore. I should be very affected by the cold, but personally, it didn't affect me that much, and it wasn't that cold to me. A final message is this. The most painful part of the climb, whether it's a real mountain or a metaphorical mountain, is actually the beginning. That's because the intensity is new to you and your muscles are switched on to work. Over time, your legs feel so numb that the only way to keep going is to move your legs no matter how painful it is. So whatever journey you're on, keep on going. The view at the peak is beautiful, and the person you'll become after climb is going to make you very, very proud. And that is my journey climbing Mount Kinabalu. I hope that your climb is a good one, whether it's a real mountain or a metaphorical mountain. And I know that with all these lessons and all these mindsets, you're going to achieve the goals that you want. And I'll see you in the next video.